So thank you, everyone. Welcome. One of the biggest things that we try and do is we have very passionate creative teams. So I have a big creative team in New York. So when we started to implement our DAM solution, right away, right away they wanted to be involved. And the first thing that all good creative people want to do is design a logo. So this is our logo for our asset management system. We call it the Library Online, or the LOL, so we like to kind of make fun of ourselves too. But so we really kind of looked at it. As you can see, the logo is kind of the shape of a camera. But we really wanted to have an identity for the team in our system. So this was a great start for us because it really started to build a platform for our success over the long haul. One of the important things is, like Teresa said, is you have to be organized. If you are not organized, these are big projects. So you really have to pay attention, and there's a process for everything. It's not rocket science, you're not rebuilding the world here, but what's really helps is there's a very easy science to making this very successful. So I'm going to walk you through this, and then I'll walk you through our site to show you how we implement it with our creative team. Planning, you can't do enough planning. So we spent about a year and a half in just understanding what we needed to do. We worked with Teresa, we got a lot of the literature from her, and it was invaluable for us because what we wanted to do, needed to learn our users. We wanted to talk to everyone that would possibly use that type of system. Now for us, it was really focused on our creative team and how we could move the needle and get the creative team the assets faster so that we can eventually move the material out the door very quickly. Because in our business, it's a very responsive industry. So we needed to really focus on the creative team, give them the opportunity to find something very fast. Time is money, as you can see. But in that, we wanted to not change how they did their work. Because if you do anything with creative folks, they get very shy in doing anything outside of their normal work habits. So what we tried to do is look what their work habits were, study that, and see how we can best make it so that it would help them get things done faster. The next thing we focused on was really funding. And funding is a tough one because sometimes it's a leap of faith with you guys, because what you have to do is kind of predict not only what you need today, but what you need in the months to come. So whenever you do funding or estimating for funding, always plan for things for growth and for surprises, because they're always going to come up. And when you don't have the money and a surprise comes up, bad things happen, because you never want to have to go back and ask for more money. It's a lot easier for you to go and say, hey, we came in under budget, than have to go back and say, oh my God, I didn't think of this, and then you have to go back and get more money. So work on this in the early stages of your whole project, and it is going to help you in the long run, because you're really going to have that substantial funding to really do the best job that you can. Project approval. We have cupcakes here, because no matter where we went to, our whole team just brought cupcakes, because it's an icebreaker. You want to get people on your team. So working with IT and me being in operations, but I'm in the creative team, is a real challenge, because sometimes they don't have the expertise in this area. So you either have to help them understand what they need, or you have to explain how you want to run this project. Now for us, what happened was we were working with our IT, it's a big company, but they didn't really grasp the concept of our creative workflows and so forth. So what happened was we really drove the project rather than have our IT team drive the project. We partnered with them because of the infrastructure and the whole corporate things that you need. But overall, you have to decide whether you're going to drive that process, or have the IT team. And it's a mixture, and you really have to find a good balance. But when you meet with them, always comes with gifts. You'll get a lot further. You have to start building you have to know what you want to build. It's very, very clear when you start this process, everyone has a laundry list of 100 things. But what you need to do is focus on what's going to make you successful. For us, we picked two very simple things. I wanted to get the data to our design team faster, and I wanted it to be a very simple, usable system. That's it. Everything else was not important, because once you solve those two problems, everything else worked in conjunction with that, and it made it really, really simple to use. Metadata. I am not a metadata person, but listening to folks like Teresa, listening to my team, it is the most important thing you will do. If you do nothing else, get this right, because it's so important. It's going to help you in your search functionalities. It's going to help you in the results that come up. It's going to make it easier for you to just expand or contract your system. So if you take nothing away from my presentation, this is one of the more key things that you have to do. If you're fortunate enough to have a taxonomy person that you can hire, get them. Because if you do this wrong, it just helps, it sets you up for failure. It really does, folks. So if you can do that, spend a lot of time on it. You'll go through a number of iterations, go online, read as much as you can. I didn't really know anything before I started. I hired a great person. My team really supports me in that, so that's a real important thing. Stick to your plan. When you start building these things, you will really have so many softballs thrown at you, but if you focus on your objective, you're really going to do well. To break down silos, this is a tough one, because if you're in a big company, everybody wants your approvals and 2 cents and do this. But this is where, when you worked initially, bring IT in early. Get them involved in the process, get them involved, meet them, do whatever you can to partner with them, because it's just going to make your whole life a lot easier. And then you launch your site. Generally speaking, for us, we wanted to do a soft launch because it was a whole new thing. So we wanted to do about 250 people at a time, make sure the whole system didn't fall down and explode. So for us, it really worked out nicely. We just kept adding more and more people, and we didn't have any issues. But again, plan for the future when you start to launch. So with that, so this is an example of our site. So this is the home page here. So basically, oops, a little out of focus there. So essentially what you have in front of you is the top is a carousel, which has a rotation of all the images that we may be using on campaigns and so forth. So the design teams can find it real easily. And now visually, we wanted to have a place where the design team can just click on 1 to 2 clicks and get the assets that they need, which is the images that you see along the bottom. So we have stored a lot of imagery. And again, for us, it could be anything from sports to movies to everything. So the structure that we have is you can do a search. You have navigation on the left that you can search by whatever criteria that you want. And again, the design team can find out really, really quickly. So some examples of the marketing materials that we use. These are very typical things that we are in the consumer market. So these would be what the design team would typically develop in this particular section. What they would generally do, they would go and look. So I'm a designer now. They're going to go to our library, which has everything that we do. They'll come up to look and see how maybe that design was done in the past, or get some conceptual ideas. They will then go, if the master art is already developed, they'll go and take it off of here, so they can, so 1, 2, they can start to design right away. Subsequently, they'll go through the whole process. They'll do their design. Once it's done, The last slide would be uploaded to the system, as you see here, as an archival and a storage. So again, it lets them look across a broad swath of businesses to see how this one particular image may be used. Sports is a big part of what we do. So my retouching team does all this kind of really exotic retouching stuff. But again, in the same process. So we'll be able to do this. They'll go find the imagery that they need. They'll go and create the high-end retouching work. And then, again, it's in a repository at the end of this. Original programming is a huge thing for us. We do all the promotional work for the various television shows that we do. So again, our design team works in the same fashion. So they will go and find the imagery. It could be a photo shoot that we did. It could be something that we're working with one of the partners, with HBO, Showtime, or Cinemax, or any of those folks. So they'll go and take all of that work. Again, the designers may go to the library and do research on how that stuff may have been used in the past. And once that whole conceptual stuff is done, again, they'll put it up into the system. So again, when we look at a system, when you're designing something, the best thing that you can do is try and solve what you have now, but you have to look and see how you can continue to evolve. And what you want to do is just keep thinking out of the box, because it's a real important thing for not only your team, but for the people that will start to use it. So the lessons learned for us: set clear objectives. Everybody starts these projects with these grandiose ideas. Focus on the ones that are going to move the needle for your team, because that's what's going to make you successful. If you do that, you will get the funding to do all the extra crazy stuff once you're all done. Understand the user needs. It's super important. Know what your users want to get. For our particular case, it was focusing on the creative team. What has transpired, because we focused on our creative team and we made the site so visually and easy to interact, everybody loves using it. We have zero training. It's like if you went to Amazon. You don't have to be trained to go to shop on Amazon. That's the premise that we wanted to do for this. Budget for problems, because they're always going to come up. So make sure that you have extra resources, make sure you have extra money. Pick a great integrator, because your integrator is going to be your partner in crime on this. And not only do you do it for the short term, but do it for the long term. Because once you build a system and you're stuck with it, as Teresa says, there's a lot of money that you may waste to have to rebuild it. You're not the smartest person in the room. You have to surround yourself with smart people. Let them do their job. Your job is to really, I like to say, just drive the bus. Because I want to keep my people focused and let them do their job. And my job is to help get the stuff out of their way. But it's critically important. If problems come up, make sure that you address them and not try and hide them. They're always going to come up. We had a number of issues. But if you can focus on your objectives, do the work, you'll be able to be successful. Teamwork, some of my folks in the room did the best. There they are. Surround yourself with positive people, passionate about making your dam successful. Because if you have people that are not buying in, it's just going to drag you down. So really spend the time. Make sure you understand. Make sure you pick people. Don't be afraid of picking people that have no experience. You would be surprised how they will come to the table, because they're passionate. They want to learn new things. They're not bringing baggage of how they did something someplace else. So give younger people a chance to be on your team. You'll really be surprised. And just stay calm, because stuff's going to come up all the time. If you start freaking out, your team is going to get all crazed, and you'll get nothing done.
That's an idea. We need Stay Calm and Damn shirts.
Exactly. There you go. So really, stuff will come up. You usually, when you're working with the various departments, they'll drive you crazy, you know, but try and stay calm and you'll be really successful. That's it.
Great.
Thanks so much.